Hi, Kerry. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yes, I am very well, thank you. So, Kerry, I mean, what has the last couple of months been like for you? There you are. You're a magician, Gloucestershire's only female magician. Used to being at events, performing your amazing magic tricks in front of people. I mean, you and I have worked together a few times at big events, charity events, couple of hundred people, and a lot of what you do is based on the interaction between you and the tables of people. And so since March, how has it been?
Well, I was quite busy up until March. So yeah, I mean, the events industry was hit very, very early doors. So my last job was literally in March. I was at a wedding and that was it. And I remember it very well because it was the last one that I did before. And then it was like the week after was then we went into like total lockdown. But I remember thinking at the time, I wonder what's going to be happening. And everybody was talking about this lockdown. And I remember finishing and walking to my car in tears, thinking, oh, yeah, that was the last wedding. So yeah, it was a real sort of moment. But I mean, I've watched literally every single booking in my diary just, disappear. And that's not the trick I really wanted.
Magic, or not the case, maybe. Yes, that must have been so hard. So, but what have you been doing to adapt? Because I know that you have, and I know that you're the positive sort of person that will always find a way. So tell me, what have you been up to?
Well, I did have a little bit of a meltdown. I had it quite early on, so I feel now I'm kind of fine, and it is what it is, and that's my. I've been saying that for a long time now. I just go, no, it is what it is. But I mean, at first it was really sad and really upsetting, and of course, in a lot of the work I do is weddings, so I'm talking to brides and grooms that are in tears on the phone to me because they don't want to cancel their wedding, they don't want to postpone it. I mean, to be fair, all of them, I think there was one that was still got married because they were allowed to. But it was literally just them and two witnesses. But all of the other weddings have been moved to next year. So I'm really looking forward to a fab. I'm going to be doing lots and lots of weddings next year. And then obviously in the meantime, because I couldn't do events, all the magic that I do, I sort of pride myself on the fact that it's all stuff that's very hands-on. So you get to shuffle the cards, you get to examine the books, you get to see the piece of rope, you do this, you do that. So of course I had to sort of change that over, and I couldn't do that quickly because I didn't want to just put something out that that wasn't me, that I wasn't proud of. So and first of all, I kind of had a little bit of a gap from magic. I went into doing some social media training. I quite like social media and Instagram and things like that. So I did a complete pivot and went down that direction because it was in my mind always to stay visible. But then I also wanted to help other small businesses to stay visible as well. And now I've come up with a Zoom show so I can actually do magic on Zoom.
Wow. So tell me, how does that work, given what you've just said about usually it's here's the cards, and as good as this is, I don't think it's that good, is it? You can't hand people packs of cards through the screen.
I know, and that's it. And some of the stuff that I do, I'm having to just leave that to one side, and hopefully I can pick that up again, when I'm allowed back at venues and I'm allowed sort of near people again. But for now, it's all stuff like that. Obviously I'll be on screens like this. So I've done some with just one other screen, so it was a family, and I've done some where I've got lots of different screens where it's like, I did a Friday night drinks session with a group of fun girls that all turned up, and so I can do stuff with them. So I chat to them for a little bit like this, get to know them, and then I just do some magic with them. So I would get them to they think of a card, so I'm shuffling cards up, and then I find a card, get them to name it, and hopefully it's their card. They get to pick the numbers, they get to sort of say stop as I'm running through books and things like that. So it's as interactive as it can be without me actually being able to physically hand them the things, but they are watching it for real. So it is stuff that actually I could do in front of them and it would be the same. So I'm hoping that sort of plays over when it's being watched on Zoom.
Yes, because of course, potentially, even when events do happen again, there is likely to be some social distancing, and you won't necessarily be able to hand anything across to somebody, will you? So in actual fact, the skills that you're learning right now might well translate themselves into future.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm kind of expecting, is that almost it's going to be like mini shows rather than sort of, I'm used to sort of doing the mix and mingle. So I would be coming up to a group of people and kind of doing some stuff here and there and everywhere. And then I sort of bring these people in and we do stuff and, and that's how it kind of works. And I think now what it's going to have to be is kind of almost like, section off, however many people were allowed in one section, with the 6 foot apart, and kind of almost do like a mini show to them and then go up to the next group and things. So I think for me, I think the future will be small events, so small parties. So you might have 10 people sat around a table, quite sort of spread out, and then I can stand at one side of the table and actually do a show to everybody at the same time. So I think it's going to be more like that for now, I think. I mean,
yes,
who knows?
It's difficult, isn't it? But then equally, there is a lot of talk out there about the fact that virtual events and hybrid, some people in person, some people not actually at an event, may continue. So again, potentially what you've been crafting and perfecting over the last few weeks would work in that environment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the great thing actually about the online stuff that I've found with, networking and chatting to people is now also I'm not governed by area. I mean, I travel around anywhere, within reason, obviously. But now, actually, if you wanted to have a Zoom show on Saturday night and you're in London, I can do that. Because if you wanted me half an hour later and, it's in Scotland, I can do that, So it's great, actually, because now it's opening up a complete new audience that people can, have my show anywhere in the world, really.
Yes, absolutely. But I know behind me in the picture, I've got Crumplebury, haven't I, there at the top, which was one of the new venues. It only opened in November of last year, and obviously closed in March. I think you were due to be there, weren't you, for a couple of events, which obviously right now have been postponed.
Yeah, I mean, Crumplebury is just, if you've never been, go, because it's just beautiful. And it doesn't matter how much we say how beautiful it is, you'll walk in and go, wow, because it's got that wow factor. And I was very lucky, and I did a wedding. They did like an open event, so I was there doing that, and actually I got booked. I had 3 bookings from that. One of them I did. One of them I just managed to get in time. The second one was the wedding, and as I say, and I think it still went ahead, but just with very, very, very reduced numbers. And the third one is postponed to next year, but it's still in my diary, so I am going to go back.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So what do the next couple of months look like for you? Is it focusing on that online presence and online activities? Do you have any indication from any of the other venues where you had bookings as to whether they're hoping that weddings will go on in August or September?
Well, I mean, all of my weddings that I had in for August this year have moved. So they've all gone to next year.
Right.
I did have a couple that moved from earlier in this year, so like sort of May, that have gone to September. So it'll be interesting to see whether they still go ahead or whether they'll move again to next year. I'm not sure what I mean, we're all just sort of sat waiting to hear what's allowed and things. So we're just sort of going with it, really. Some of the venues are kind of hoping to be open, but I think for them as well, it's very much they really don't know what's happening yet. So it's not being sort of fed down, to the rest of us. So yeah, it's all a bit sort of up in the air, really. We're just waiting and seeing, what will happen. I think, I personally, I think for bigger ones, and I don't want to frighten anybody into saying this, and this is just honestly my thoughts, my opinion based on nothing, but I think the weddings will probably be sort of next year. I think for bigger, 50 plus, sizes. But I don't know, we'll just have to see what happens, I guess.
And there seems to be, again, thoughts out there around kind of what businesses will do and organisations will do with everybody that's been working from home, and looking at ways in which to hopefully safely bring them back together again in an environment where they've got plenty of space, so likely not the office. Have you thought about how what you do might be useful and used in that environment?
I haven't actually. I guess for me, I kind of always assume I'm kind of, I don't know, almost, I don't know if we would have really been given a thought, because it's entertainment and it's kind of, everybody's very much just trying to go with the health and safety aspect of everything first, without almost maybe putting the, I don't want to say, but the fun side of things in. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's on the serious side of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe, there will be something there. I'm sure, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah, well, maybe that is something to ponder on, and see whether you can kind of think about that as a potential opportunity as well for future.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think, as you have done and a lot of businesses have done, looking at things from a different perspective and reinventing and reimagining and recreating has been how we've got to the point where we are. And I think that will continue to take us forward into the future, when events in some way, shape or form can once again take place.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Because it's like, how do we get from where we are now to back to where we were, which is, I'm very much I'm there with people. If you imagine you've got 8 people sat around a table and I'm coming up and I'm joining in, and I'm handing this out and I'm doing this and things, so there is that sort of contact there, which makes it what it is. It makes it very intimate, it's very real. You've shuffled the cards, you've written your name on, and and things like that. So it's how we get from where we are now back to there. And I don't know. I think you're right. I think there will be some sort of like hybrid thing that happens within the middle, where some of it's online and some of it's in person, but for smaller groups and things. And then I think and I hope it will just progress, and we'll look back on this and go, oh, do you remember 2020?
Well, I hope you're right, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with that. Kerry, it's been lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.